Hi, I'm Delaney. And I'm Hadley. We're Twice as Good, and we're so excited to meet with you today. As Mrs. DeAngelis mentioned, Twice as Good is a special type of cooking show, as at its heart, it's an educational show that uses recipes as a platform to teach science, geography, history, math, art, and much more. So now we're going to do a few science experiments for you that relate to season 4 of Twice as Good and celebrate NETA and you today. So let's get started. We have a container filled with tap water and some soft drinks. We're going to put them in one by one and see if they sink or float. We're going to do this by show of hands. First, we're going to start with a regular Coke. Raise your hand if you think it's going to sink. And now raise your hand if you think it's going to float. Seems like most of you think it's going to float, so we're going to drop it in now. It sunk. Next, we're going to try a Diet Coke. Raise your hand if you think it's going to sink. And what about the people who think it's going to float? Okay, most of you think it will float. Okay, let's drop it in. It floated. Okay, now we're going to try a regular Sunkist. Raise your hand if you think it's going to sink. And what about the people who think it's going to float? Seems like most of you think it's going to sink, so we'll just drop that right in. It sunk. And now, I think you all know the answer, but now we're going to try Diet Sunkist. Raise your hand if you think it's going to float. And now I think it's going to sink. Okay, it seems like most of you think it's going to float, and you're right. You get the pattern. The regular drinks sink, but the diet drinks float. This is a great comparison between volume and mass. A regular Coke and a Diet Coke both have the same volume because they have the same amount of liquid in the can, but they have different masses because the regular Coke has high fructose corn syrup in it, while the Diet Coke has artificial sweeteners in it. High fructose corn syrup has a greater density than water, so it sinks. While artificial sweeteners have a higher density than water, so they float. So how could we get these cans back up? Who thinks that I can get them back up? Okay, it seems like most of you think I can. So we're gonna add 2 things of baking soda, and we're gonna see if it floats or not. Wow! This is because we're changing the relative density of the water around the cans. So Hadley's going to add some limes. Do you think they'll sink? Raise your hands. Or do you think it will float? Raise your hand. Okay, it seems like most of you think it will float. 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, they sunk. Now Hadley's going to try a lemon. Raise your hand if you think it's going to sink. Now raise your hand if you think it's going to float. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. They floated. Why does this work? This works because the limes have a density that's greater than water, so they sink, while the lemons have a density about equal to water, so they float. Also, the peel or rind of a lemon is less smooth than the rind of the lime, and it has little holes in it, so air bubbles can catch onto it and bring it to the surface. So I have a plastic bag full of water, and Hadley's going to try to poke 3 pencils in here. She's going to start with the first one. Raise your hand if you think it will leak. Now raise your hand if you think it won't leak. Okay, it looks like most of you don't think it will leak. Ready? All right, we're going to hold it away from you. Now I'm going to poke it through. Whoa, it didn't leak. Let's try a second one. Ready? Set. 3, 2, 1, go. It didn't leak. Let's try one last third one. Whoa, it didn't leak. Why does this work? This works because plastic bags are made out of long chains of molecules to make them stretchy. When you poke the pencil inside the bag, the polymers expand and seal the hole that the pencil made, making sure that it doesn't leak. Here's a cool way to show the power of water as a buffer. So here we have a little balloon that we've blown up with air, and here's one that we filled and soaked with water. Delaney's gonna light these flames. We're gonna put the balloons over these little burners, and then we're gonna see which one pops first. Make sure you watch carefully because it happens fast. We're gonna put on some safety goggles here. Okay, those beware in the front row because it might pop on you. There, got it.
Okay.
Yes, you can see it little bitty.
3, 2,
2,
1, go.
Ready? Set.
Might take a minute.
Whoa! That is so cool, right? Why did this one not pop? Well, it's because water is one of the best buffers in nature. It absorbs the heat and acts as a buffer. We'll leave this one in here.
Okay, let's take off our safety goggles. And now that we've dealt with water, we're gonna deal with another really fun kitchen ingredient, eggs.
So eggs are a really popular ingredient in season 4. We use them to make blueberry pie at the main diner, to make ice cream at Monticello, and to make delicious cakes at the Flower Bakery with Miss Joanne Shank.
Last year, we were lucky enough to have a special girl named Alicia come visit us. Alicia was 8 years old and had 3 heart surgeries, and she was about to have her 4th. And one of her wishes to the Make-A-Wish Foundation was to be on the Twice as Good show. The first thing her dad told us when she came was, ask her anything. Don't feel like you have to walk on eggshells when you're talking to her. So we thought it would be cool in her honor to walk on eggshells for all of you guys.
All right.
So eggs are actually pretty strong on the top and bottom, but they're pretty weak on their sides. So we made sure all these eggs are standing up straight and that there are no cracks. Sometimes they break, so we're gonna see how many Hadley can walk on before they start to break. Maybe she'll get through the whole thing. Ready, set, go.
Ready, set, here we go. Done, and
wow! Now this is a really cool experiment that you can do, but why does it work? Well, this works because, as I said, the eggs are strongest at their top or at their point, just like the arch in architecture. Imagine the Roman arch of the dome of the Taj Mahal. Now, if you squeeze an egg on the top and bottom, it doesn't break, but if you squeeze it on the sides, it will break. This is why a hen can sit on its egg and not break it, because it's an even force distributed evenly throughout the egg. But a tiny chick can peck through the side of the egg with just a couple breaks, because it's an uneven force directed at just one spot of the egg. We were lucky enough to visit Miss Joanne's bakery for the chemistry of baking and the science of sugar episode. And we learned all about combining weak acids and bases to create a delicious, fluffy cake. So we're going to show you a cool acid-based experiment to help you blow out your candles in a magical way.
so Delaney's gonna light these candles right here. And I'm going to dye this vinegar in green color to make it look really fun. There we go.
Okay, so now Hadley's going to add the vinegar into this container.
With the baking soda.
Okay, and now she's going to add it. 3, 2, 1, go. Whoa, do you see that bubbling? That's the production of CO2 gas. It's heavy, so it stays in the container. Hadley poured out the CO2 gas, and this exposes the flame to concentrated CO2 gas. This lack of oxygen extinguishes the flame. In our after-school snacks episode, we made trail mix bites and learned all about binders and repellents. Now we're going to show you a cool experiment so you can see a repellent in action. So here we have a flat pan or plate of milk, and Hadley's going to make some fun decorations with the food coloring. You can be fun and create your own little masterpiece.
This would be a really fun art project.
And you want to mainly put the food coloring in the middle, and so that's how the experiment works best. Now Hadley's going to dip a Q-tip that's been soaked in dishwashing detergent in the middle of the pan. Right as I say 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, go. Whoa!
That's so cool, right?
This works because instead of mixing with the milk, the soap repels the milk, grabs hold of the surface, floats on top, and as it does, it pulls the food coloring along with it. Speaking of pulling, let's move on to another really fun experiment.
So we went to a lot of fancy kitchens in season 4, and one of those was the Biltmore. They had amazing silverware and tablecloths, and while we were there, they taught us how to set a table Biltmore style. But today's a huge day. so we're gonna show you how to clear the table twice as good style. So we're gonna fix this plate up a bit. When I say 3, 2, 1, Delaney's gonna pull this out from under the plate. We're gonna try to pull it all the way down to the ground. 3, 2, 1, go! Wow, why did this work? Well, you'd think that when you pulled the cloth out from under the plate, it would fall on the floor. But really, there's very little frictional force between the plate and the cloth. And the little frictional force is countered by resistance. Therefore, there's no total force acting on the plate, so it stays put.
So in season 4, we were lucky enough to visit Monticello, the historic home of Thomas Jefferson. And there we learned a lot of things about him. We learned that he was a food connoisseur and was one of the first people to bring ice cream to America. We also learned about his experimental garden and that he had special glasses made for his eyesight that worked based on a principle we use a lot in cooking, refraction. So here we have a container of water, and I'm going to pass this arrow behind it. Okay, watch carefully. I'm going to do it one more time. Wow, does it look like the arrow's going the other way that I'm sliding it through? This is because light refracts or bends when passing from one material to the next. Also, the water acts as a magnifying glass.
Another fun thing that we did in season 4 was make maple syrup in New Hampshire. So now another thing that we learned there was that maple syrup is very dense. So now we're gonna make a density tube for you. So first we have some maple syrup, which we're gonna carefully add, just like that. You can add it any way you want, just about the same length right there, Delaney, it's good.
About there. Now we're going to add some Dawn dish soap.
We use this a lot for cleaning the dishes. So we'll just squeeze some in there. We'll put a lot of it.
I think that's about right, Hadley.
I think so too. And next, we're gonna get some vegetable oil right here.
And so you might want to tilt your tube just so it doesn't spill.
Oh, got it. Yep, right on top you see the clear liquid. We use this a lot in cakes. Now that we're finished adding our vegetable oil, we're gonna add some dyed rubbing alcohol. We dyed it red so it would stand out more and it wouldn't be the same color as the vegetable oil. We're gonna tilt it again. There we go, that should be good.
Just a little bit more.
Why does this work? Well, density is basically a comparison between mass and volume. Density equals mass divided by volume. So you see how the lighter liquids like rubbing alcohol or water float on top, while denser liquids like maple syrup go to the bottom. They all have different densities, so they all stack right on top of each other.
We were lucky enough to visit Mount Vernon, where where George Washington used to live, to learn about his contribution to the farm-to-table movement. Mount Vernon is on the Potomac River, and one of the guides told us that the deeper you stored bottles in the Potomac River, the colder they would be. So we're going to show you a cool experiment to show you how density differs with temperature. So here we have some really hot water, and Hadley has some really cold water, and this container is separated in the middle, and I'm going to pour it in this side, and she's going to pour it in the other.
We put these in thermoses so they would stay cold and hot. So we're just going to pour them in. It's kind of thin, so we want to be careful not to spill.
Let's make sure this doesn't tip over.
There we go.
Maybe just a little more.
Right there is about good.
You want to have the cold water and the hot water at almost exactly the same level. So as I said, this container is separated by a middle separator, and actually this separator is removable, so I'm going to remove it. Sometimes it gets a little stuck.
There we go.
Watch it fight, watch it fight.
And the cold water slipped under the hot water.
Why does this work? This works because in the cold water, the molecules are moving much more slowly, and that makes it more dense. And as always, the dense liquid goes beneath the less dense liquid.
So now we're gonna do a little wind experiment for you.
And for this one, we're gonna need a volunteer.
How about you? Hi, what's your name?
My name's Heather Daniels, and I'm from Alabama Public Television.
Wow, that seems like a very nice place to live. We've always wanted to go to Alabama.
I think you should come visit.
So, when you're cooking, you often have to blow into a bag or glove to make it easier to open something up. So we're just gonna have you blow into the mouth of this bag. Just hold it right to your mouth and just see how long it takes you to blow this thing up.
Do you want me to blow up this whole bag?
Yes, the whole thing.
All right.
Ready?
So I'm gonna hold it, make sure I don't step on the egg.
Okay,
It's gonna take a while.
probably. So we're gonna show you a trick using Bernoulli's principle that you can blow it up in one breath.
Okay.
So we want you to open the bag like that with 2 L's. Then you want to hold it about a foot away from your mouth.
Okay.
And we want you to breathe in deeply, exhale into the bag, then twist it shut afterwards.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go. Let's give a hand to our volunteers.
And here we're gonna make a kid-friendly sparkling juice drink. So here we have some orange juice, apple juice, and cranberry juice. And we're going to carbonate them with some dry ice. It's so cold it made the bowl have ice on it too. And so this works because dry ice is frozen carbon dioxide. And instead of melting into water like normal ice, it sublimates into gas instead. So these will be sparkling fizzy juices after a while. But first, we're going to show you how dry ice works by capturing its steam in a bubble. So I'm going to put on this special glove, and Hadley's going to put on a glove, and a different type of glove. And I'm going to add a small piece of dry ice into this container of hot water. Then now I'm going to put the cap on and make sure it's on very tightly. And you see how the steam's coming out the other end?
So we're gonna dip it in some dish soap, and
This is some dish soap with baking soda and water.
Here we go.
And I'm going to try to give it to Hadley. If it doesn't work, you just have to be patient and wait a second. Wait for it to start giving bubbles out. And if it doesn't start working, you might need to add a little more dry
Let's
ice.
spell out NETA.
Okay, you can spell it.
N-E-T-A-N-E-T-A.
Wow, this is so cool. Okay, so now we're gonna get back to carbonating the juices. Even the bowl is cold. So I'm gonna add
It's like snow.
a little piece of dry ice.
To each one. You might want to do this in the kitchen of your house because it could splash a bit.
You want to make sure these, and add as much dry ice as you want it to be bubbly. So.
And we want these to be really fizzy.
Let's toast to NETA. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
We really enjoyed talking food science with you. On the table, there are some cookbooks which we hope that you will give to some chefs in your life.
There are also some food dates and information about the show in case you have any questions.
Thank you so much for coming, and we hope that the rest of your conference is twice as good.